Our next guest campaigned for Roy Moore last night at a packed Drain the Swamp rally. Republican Congressman Louis Gohmert of Texas joins us now from Washington. And Congressman, first of all, tell me about the rally and what you wanted voters to hear in Alabama from you personally.
Well, it was a fabulous rally. The people were wonderful. I just have such an affinity with the folks there. But people need to know that Washington does not know what to do with a man whose motto, like MacArthur, duty, honor, country, that is so principled that if he goes into the Supreme Court, like I was for the arguments on Ten Commandment statutes, I look up there and I see Moses holding the Ten Commandments in the Supreme Court courtroom, and they are discussing whether anybody else can have a monument, something like that. And it is outrageous. But Roy Moore is so principled. I mean, we've heard from a man in Vietnam with him, a fellow officer, said he got talked into, he thought it was a bar. It turned out to be a brothel. He turned around and said, "We shouldn't be here. Got the heck out of there." Washington doesn't know what to do with a man of principle like that. So shame on any Republicans who would listen to somebody that would wait 38 years to disparage an honorable man that dedicated his whole life to making his country and his state better, and this is the way he's treated by Washington. Well, it's really it's what happens to honorable, smart, decent men like Clarence Thomas. I mean, Clarence had this high-tech lynching, so grossly unfair. He's still not given credit for his brilliant intellect and principle, but that's what Washington does on both sides of the aisle, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have a guy that they're going to throw their best shots like they have. And by the way, I mean, I've looked a man in the eye and ordered him to be put to death for what he did to a woman. I've sent many people to prison for life for what they did to women. But I would never, even the guy I ordered to put to death, I would never have put him to trial in 4 weeks. This was an ambush of a fine, decent man, and I think Alabama has seen through it. And no matter who comes in, I told him last night,
I would like to get a question in if I can.
Okay, I'm sorry, Harris.
I've let you say your piece.
Strong, obviously.
But we can't ignore the fact that, you know, outside Washington, this conversation is not only happening inside Washington, even among Alabama voters. Women have spoken up and said, you know, they're not quite sure what to do with those allegations. You talk about the 38-year gap between the time that minor children are said to have had some sort of misconduct with this person who's running. Hold on, I let you speak. Let me get my question out.
All right,
okay. So we can't ignore the allegations that are happening outside of Washington, the conversation that's going on. I hear what you're saying in terms of all of this, but I'm just curious to know, what does victory look like for the GOP? Because this is a tough conversation that's going on among the women in Alabama, some who've said they don't really know what to do with those allegations, and inside Washington. So if he wins, and you've held the state for so many years as Republicans, it's quite possible, probable that he will. People will vote their political values, if you will. Abortion's a big issue in Alabama, so you understand that politics are local. He gets to Washington. What does that look like for a GOP victory? Talk to me.
Well, it depends on which part of the GOP you're talking about. If you're talking about the swamp GOP, the establishment GOP, they're not sure what to do about him. But those of us that want to see change and America be great again, we're thrilled. It's going to be great, and he's going to be a man of principle. He's not going to be tempted and drawn into things inappropriate. And regarding the allegations, that is one of the things I wanted people to understand. You don't try a man that has spent his whole life being upfront, dedicated to the good of his country and to his God in 4 weeks after 38 years. And especially when the only two people that have alleged any illegal impropriety or questions, there are huge holes in their statements. They've been caught in forgery. They've been caught saying, "Oh, I had conversations in my room on my phone," and you didn't have a phone, didn't have a phone in your room. There are all kinds of problems. And since anybody waits 38 years to accuse somebody of something, they have got to have plenty of time, because nobody has a calendar from 38 years ago. Very unfair, but I think...
You know, it's interesting what you're saying, because you're talking about from a prosecutorial point of view.
Prosecutor, you betcha.
And you're also saying that Alabamians know what they know as they go to the polls. And those are just the facts there. You're coming with it as that. Do you think it's been good to have the president come in with his support for Roy Moore?
I think so, because I think a majority of people in Alabama appreciate the president trying to drain the swamp, and they know Roy Moore can help do that. So, you know, the story is not over on these two people, but I would just pose the hypothetical: if the Republicans were willing to spend $30 million to try to stop this man of principle, and the Democrats are willing to spend 50, 60 million, who knows how much, is it possible that they could go out looking for people in financial distress and offer money to create problems for an honorable, decent man? I'm just saying all of these things have to be looked at. I would like to see all the financial activity of these people that have had financial problems.
You are a prosecutor, Congressman.
You betcha. We need to be looking into
here's
all
the
of
thought.
this. And if somebody
if Roy Moore gets to Capitol Hill, it sounds like an ethics investigation would be okay in your book, because you get all the facts. Congressman, great to see you. I'm going to go for breaking news, but we want to have you back another time.